One thing I worry about is when people start talking about these social network opportunities as a panacea for advertising, because as you say, they do take an awful lot of time, and it does take, you can't just set it up and walk away from it. There has to be someone actively involved in whatever you set up, and making sure that any customers that are trying to reach you that way are getting a response, and you have to be changing things and clearly active on these different sites. So you want to make sure that you have allocated enough resources to it. The other thing to keep in mind is going back to your target audience. Is it appropriate for your target audience, and is it the best use of your time given who your target audience is? What I tell some customers who are very interested in something like that is, if you have someone on staff who has a natural inclination towards one of these media, then yes, it might be a good idea to give it a try and see what kind of response you get. But in terms of, starting out big and, oh, this is going to be, I mean, for Ian's Pizza, yes, this is a good match. But for a business like your bookstore, is this really something you want to expend a lot of resources on? Probably not, until you've really tested the waters and found out that there's a big response coming back. I think partly it is a generational thing, but also it depends on carpet, for example, is not something that people are likely to think that Facebook is going to provide them with a lot of information about. So it depends on what your product mix is too. And I think you have some.
Yeah, I think in these new media, one way to think about it is it's the intersection between what we might think of as marketing and also a public relations approach. Because public relations is always about generating the new interesting story, or finding the new interesting story about your business, and then getting that message out through a variety of media. Creating tip lists for how, or seasonal lists. It's kind of an approach about generating a story and then figuring out if you can refresh that often enough to have it be out in some of these new media. So that may be a helpful way to think about it, is to think about looking into public relations skills and strategies, and developing stories about your business, making sure that they're refreshed often enough and that they're available to these different social networks. That's another approach.
I'm 57 and I'm a one-man band in terms of my business, and I sell time. That's how essentially I get consulting income. I'm selling my time. So I'm very sensitive to this issue. I asked, where do people go to learn about how to make their businesses better? And they go to their own industry, group where they might see chief marketing officers belong to an association, and they've got a great newsletter to help them be better chief marketing officers. So I really think, where are readers going, or where are people going to learn about how to do their home in a sustainable way? Maybe you want to have something about carpeting, and maybe it's not your blog, but you offer to write something for someone's blog that then supports your carpeting business. But I think you have to think about, where does my target market go to learn?
One of the questions that I have for you all is, and I hear it a lot when I talk with people, is, well, if I'm a local business, why do I have to have a website? And do I have to have a website? Can any of you speak to that? Mary?
I would say not having a website is like not having a phone number. Generationally, across generations, the web is where people go to find you. If they don't, if they've heard your business name and aren't sure where to find you, they'll just go type in your business name with a com afterwards and see what comes up. When folks are Googling your business name, searching for your business name or searching for your product, not only if you don't have a website, but if you haven't invested some time into figuring out, which you don't have to pay a lot of money for, but figuring out how to deal with keywords and making yourself rise higher when folks are searching for you, like search engine optimization is the term for it, but figuring out how to make yourself rise to the top of the list you've lost people who are actively looking for you, not just potential customers, but folks who are looking for you. I think it's absolutely essential.
I had a tour of a business that refurbishes old carriages, and if you're old enough and you remember those old carriages, or maybe you've seen them in movies, and I forgot the name of this business, but I was just wondering, how does this person sell these refurbished carriages? And you probably see them in downtown Madison and various places, but he said that he sells most of his carriages online through his webpage worldwide. 40% of his sales are done online. And just to, answer your question, I mean, it's whether you're in a small town or a big city, whether you're a small business or a giant business, the web makes everyone the same size. Okay? And you can be as big as you want on the internet, and and it's working for you 24/7.
I sell to other businesses, but even if you're in business to business, your referral network needs you to have a website so they can say, look up her in the web. But I will say it's this internet that's caused all the commoditization, because all of a sudden you could be a small store on State Street and you're competing across the globe where people can find that product. Everybody can price shop on the internet. And because of how pervasive the internet has become, it's become essential that if you can't be the lowest price, you figure out what's your unique value promise. What can you do uniquely well? That's a benefit so that you can avoid the commoditization.